Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Trey, and I want to talk about Steamboat Willie because Steamboat Willie is supposed to be coming to a public domain in 2024, and people were discussing what they want to do already. And Yellow Flash on Twitter had made a, a tweet saying that, oh, I have the perfect horror movie or horror idea comic book for Steamboat Willie. And some people was like, yeah, that's kind of dumb. And then some people were like, oh, that's interesting. And it got me wondering, like, if a lot of these franchises are going into public domain, why is the first thing that we're thinking about is let's turn it into a horror thing, like as a shock and value, a shock and awe kind of thing. And I was thinking to myself, you know, with Steamboat Willie coming into public domain, which means that we can use that version of Mickey Mouse and stuff like that, he just will be mute. Why is kind of like the first thing that we think about when a lot of these characters are going into public domain is like, hey, what if we decided to turn it into a crazy horror movie or something like that? I guess because we did it with Winnie the Pooh, we did it with the Grinch, and I think there's one more character that went into public domain that they turned into a horror movie, and you're just like, what the hell, right? And I know some people were like, well, you got to think of the children or whatever, but it's kind of like, well, it is in public domain and people are allowed to do things, you know, whatever they want with the characters. But it makes you wonder, do you think that the first thing somebody should do with these characters is do like sexual things or like horror or horror things with these characters? You know what I'm saying? Like, why is that the thing that you think about as a public domain thing? Which I don't care if people do horror or whatever, but it gets you wondering, like, if you have the ability to do something with some characters, why is the first thing you want to go and do is a shock and horror kind of story, just to like, wow, you know what I'm saying, to the characters? Since it is a 1928 thing, we only can use the perimeter of what's given to us. We can't do anything like, I guess the character would have to stay in black and white, because we couldn't touch color with the character. I don't believe. But if it was me, if I was doing something with the character, since Mickey, Pete, Minnie Mouse are pretty much like silent characters or whatever in this little short or whatever, you could still kind of do like some kind of boat themed storytelling, but make it where, like, you know, some criminals got on to the ship or whatever, and, you know, Pete don't really trust Mickey's observation because, you know, Mickey can't really talk, Pete can't really talk, but they kind of have an understanding with each other. But Pete is not under, Mickey sees like some criminals get on the boat, along with, you know, Minnie Mouse or whatever, stuff like that. Minnie could be like being used as like some kind of hostage or something like that, because she has like this what was it, a xylophone, I believe they had said in the little thing. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, so it's like a xylophone or something like that with music sheets, because she created this orchestrated piece, and they want that piece because it's worth millions or something like that. And maybe have a journey of them on the ship trying to get to Minnie, but, you know, Mickey is trying to stop them at the same time of Pete's trying to be like, hey, you know what I'm saying, like, discipline Mickey for going against his orders or something like that. So it can be something really kind of heroic like that. Or since the character would be in public domain, I will put them in like some kind of grand adventure or something like that, where Minnie is kidnapped, or Minnie is doing something, like he's trying to get to her event or something like that, but then things just keep happening or whatever. You know, something really cool or fun, something, or maybe something comedic, like back in the old days of like how Disney classic stuff would be, you know, really like 8-minute, 10-minute little shorts and you can kind of have a little adventure of like Mickey struggling to get to Minnie's performance and stuff like that while using the boat to get there, because her performance is on some like kind of like island thing, and he's trying to get there without Pete noticing, because people think that he's the captain when he really is not, but then Pete was able to catch up to him or something like that. Something kind of fun and goofy or whatever. But I don't know about the first thing we should do with Mickey Mouse is turn it into some kind of horror kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Just like I wouldn't want the character to become some kind of sexual thing. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like some people, that's the first thing they want to do is like whore out characters or subvert the expectation to the point where it's just like, what the hell? And it's just kind of like, how a lot of us get upset when they subvert expectations of these heroes. I don't know. Should we subvert these characters ourselves as well? If we don't want them to subvert the expectation of these iconic franchises or whatever, why should we, as like fans of these characters, why should we subvert it ourselves if we have the ability to do it? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that we're subverting to the point where, oh my God, we're completely changing everything about the character. But I don't know if the first thing should be like some kind of horror, killer, or sexual thing. I don't know. If people want to do it, that's fine. I just think like maybe wouldn't it be would we call ourselves hypocritical? Like, if we are so against when companies do it themselves to these franchises, why would we do it when we have the ability to do it? I mean, I guess that's the whole point of being in public domain, because then you can do whatever you want to. It's interesting. It honestly kind of makes me want to look up what other characters are in public domain, or going into public domain that a lot of people know, and just see what other people have done with them, because I'm quite sure there are some characters that I know that are now in public domain besides the fairy tales, because fairy tales are always going to be in public domain, so everybody's always going to do something different with their version. Let's be honest, I did my kind of own version of the Little Mermaid myself, and this was for a school project. So before anybody be like, oh my God, Trey being hypocritical about the Disney's Little Mermaid live action thing, this was for school. So this was completely different. This was an assignment of what would happen if I took if I was the one in charge of Disney's Little Mermaid, what would I do with the story? That's the only reason why I did it, because it was an assignment, because my teacher said, what's my favorite Disney princess movie? And I said, Disney's Little Mermaid. I loved the Little Mermaid when I was growing up. And he was like, okay, great. Take what you know from what Disney did with the character and come up with what you would do if you were in charge of the Disney classic movie before it was actually created in 1989. And I was like, okay, great. You know what I'm saying? So I tried to stay true to what I tried to stay true to a little bit of Han Christensen, and then a little bit of what Disney did with the character, but did it my own way, with still kind of sort of telling the same story of Ariel wants to be part of the human world. You know what I'm saying? But this one is just a little bit more actiony. I'm quite sure some of you guys probably have seen my drawing of what I would design Ariel as, and yes, and of course she was black, because this is what will happen if I was the original creator of Disney's Little Mermaid, because a lot of people don't know that there was a great animator that who happened to be black. I always draw a blank on his name, but he actually did the character design for Ariel, for the Little Mermaid, for Disney's Little Mermaid. So it's kind of funny when people always be like, black people really don't do much or nothing, or what's a big deal or whatever. Well, a black person created the character design and looks and feel of Ariel for the Little Mermaid. Isn't that wrong of you to take that away from him? So it's the same thing with like the Steamboat Willie. Like, would you really want to take what Disney and the crew did for the character and be like, oh yeah, let's completely destroy it and turn it into like some kind of horror classic thing or whatever. I would kind of want more of maybe expanding on the story that Disney did, like maybe add scenes that Disney couldn't do since it was 8 minutes, expand the story of Steamboat Willie, or maybe turn it into an action adventure kind of thing. That's kind of what I would want to do or want to see with the character. But I'm not saying that people can't do what they want to do with the characters. It's just kind of a interesting thought. Like, are we that deprived that the first thing that we think about if we have the ability to do something with characters is to subvert their expectations? I mean, I guess that's why Hollywood does that a lot with a lot of these characters, because now that they have the ability to do it, why not? And it's the same thing with us. Well, if we have the ability to subvert expectations for these characters, why not do a scary movie or show or book or whatever, as long as we're not infringing on the copyrights or whatever. Everything's free range, right? As long as it's confined to that particular version of Mickey and Minnie and Pete. So I don't know. It's just food for thoughts. But you guys tell me what you guys think in the comment section below about it. Steamboat Willie. Are you excited that it most likely will be in public domain next year? And if you are excited for it, tell me why. And if you had the ability to do something with Steamboat Willie, what would you do? But yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.